We see this pattern in almost every industry. A man begins a project he cannot quite execute on his own. Somewhere in the early chaos, the late nights, the failed pitches, the moments he almost quits, there is a woman. She functions as the operation. She manages the books, answers the emails, and stabilizes his public image so clients don't walk out. She does the unglamorous labor required to keep the vision alive. Once the business stabilizes and his name is finally on the wall, she is made irrelevant. She is phased out quietly, without the closure of a dramatic confrontation. This is often misread as simple ingratitude. Forgetting to say thank you is a lapse in manners. This is a psychological calculation. Individuals with high scores in grandiose narcissism and entitlement do not seek out the weak. They target people with admirable qualities: resources, competence, emotional stability. In other words, they find the person who can actually build the thing, and they attach themselves to that person's capacity. Her replacement marks the inevitable conclusion of a calculated extraction. Once her resources have been absorbed into the brand, she is no longer a necessity. This process begins with the invitation. The founder sells a vision, framing his need for her as an essential, intimate partnership. He uses language that suggests he is incapable of succeeding without her specific insight. Note the word together. Together implies equal stakes, equal ownership, equal recognition when the thing works. She invests her time and her belief. She operates under the assumption that her relentless labor is securing a place in a shared future. While he promises partnership and conversation, the reality remains unrecorded. This togetherness is never formalized in a legal contract or an equity agreement. This creates the core tragedy of the first phase. She mistakes his temporary, desperate need for her skills as a permanent guarantee of her value to the company. In phase 2, the consolidation, the business finally achieves the growth she worked to build. As the company stabilizes, her access to power begins to shrink. New hires appear, and her responsibilities are systematically narrowed without her consultation. Psychologists call this devaluation. This exclusion happens through a slow shift in proximity rather than a loud confrontation. As the center of the circle fills with new advisors, she is pushed to the periphery. The experience is disorienting. She is sidelined despite her competence, without a single argument or a professional failure to point to as a cause. By phase 3, the exit, the historical narrative of the company has already been rewritten. The public story now centers entirely on him as the sole architect of the success. Men are rewarded for dominance, for being the face of things, for the appearance of having built something alone. Societal conditioning frequently misreads male assertiveness and dominance as leadership potential, which means success becomes armor against accountability. To the outside world, the question of who helped him build the foundation becomes irrelevant. His mindset follows a brutal financial logic. During the fragile early days, she is a strategic asset, but once the business is secure, she is reclassified as overhead. The final exit is the execution of a reality he prepared while she was occupied with the work of building the business. The emotional betrayal is processed in private, but the tangible professional toll is often permanent. This is the invisible loss. Without equity or public recognition, she is stripped of her professional proof. Her years of work are credited to his track record, leaving her with a blank page. She is forced to start over from zero. Meanwhile, he continues to scale the business using the very momentum she generated. Standard corporate advice often tells women to know their worth or get it in writing. This advice places the burden of blame on the betrayed. It ignores the cultural scripts that teach women to treat loyalty as an unconditional virtue. Loyalty is a high-value resource. When given to someone who treats it as supply, it is used until the tank is empty. This pattern persists because exploitative strategy relies on consistency. In these hands, consistency is just another word for strategy.